Today we're talking once again about Hot Wheels and what I did to them. We've talked before about the type of Hot Wheels that I would collect loose and display. We've talked about what I got carded when I got into buying more expensive ones, but there was another avenue that I collected Hot Wheels for, and that was to customize them. We have some supplies in here. I evidently used glue, definitely had some steel wool. This is not all of them. Different types of sandpaper. Oh, I forgot I used paper clips, and yeah, those are some wheels that I took off in a little organizer. I forgot I had that. Interesting. So for a while there, I would buy Hot Wheels that I thought were cool, or I would start looking at them and go, ooh, you know what? I like the wheels on this one, but I want the wheels on this one on something else. And I wound up reading online. This is just a bunch of cars that I found for one reason or another so that I could customize them. Some of them are in pieces. Here's clearly the top to something. Ones that I never even opened out of the package, but I liked them and just wanted to customize them. But we've got a few that I actually did customize that we'll be looking over today and talking about them. The process of customizing Hot Wheels cars was something that I read about online. 2 rivets hold the top and the bottom piece together, and when it comes apart, sometimes there is an internal piece for color decoration. You just have the 2 pieces here, and then tracks for little metal rod that holds the 2 wheels in place. The whole thing comes apart. And then at that point, you can take it and strip it down. Take the plastic out. Clearly, this was red when I started it. This is a 64 Chevy Nova station wagon. It's unfinished. It was something that I started at one point because it had a lot of, and then the plastic comes out from that. It had a lot of body to it. It's a big station wagon, and I thought it would be cool to take this apart. And I did. And then I give it a bath, especially the metal. This was metal on metal here for the bigger one. I would have popped the wheels out, and then I guess I put them back because I can see the remnants of super glue in there. And then I give this a bath. Dunk it in some paint thinner, just a can of paint thinner. I don't recommend any of this, and I recommend you do your own research on something like that, but this is what I did. Open a window because I was in an apartment, get some airflow going, put a fan in the window for sure so that nothing bad happened because I was working with chemicals, and then pop out the plastic and dunk the metal into the tub of paint thinner. Let it sit there for a while, bring it out, and then it would need some polishing up. There's still little bits of red all over this because it's never 100% clean, but I had some tools, sandpaper, steel wool like we already looked at. I actually got a Dremel at one point to really get it all off. Mostly it would just flake right off. I mean, once you dip it in there, the paint just peels right off, and then use it like a toothbrush. But the point is I was taking them apart, customizing them, and putting them back together. A 2016 Camaro SS. Not in its original color. I stripped the body paint and then added new color and different wheels from what it was originally. It does have a plastic body, but the metal on the top. And I added some things. Not great. You can see I'm not much of an artist, and it would have been much better if I'd invested. This was just a fun little project. The windows were not silver. Evidently, I never glued it back together because it just keeps coming apart in my hands here. But here was one that I did to start out with and test it out. I thought what would be cool would be orange accents on here if I took if I took the windows and made them silver and blacked out the rest of the car. Just neat. Next up, we have the Chrysler 300. I stripped it down, added the blue paint and the wheels. None of this was original on there. I guess I blacked out the windows as well. Cool, but this one really didn't work either. The paint, you can see the streaks all the way through it. You can really see the streaks of the paintbrush on there. It would have been better to have some kind of airbrush solution, but again, this was just for fun. This was something I did as a hobby to kill time, to use. I'm not that much of an artist, but it was a neat little thing to do, and it gave me something, put on a podcast, listen to whatever, and just work on Hot Wheels, painting, modifying, customizing. I do remember being excited to have the Chrysler 300 specifically because this was a car that I really like. My dad rented one time when we took a road trip across the country, and he didn't want to put the miles on his car, and then he let me drive it at one point. I think I had a learner's permit at that point. I don't think I had a driver's license, but he did let me drive it, which I don't think you're supposed to do with a rental car. Man, it was powerful. It was a lot more powerful than the car that he was driving normally and what I learned to drive on, which was a 96 Ford Escort. Next up, another Camaro, which I also stripped the body paint, added new wheels, and touched up with some of the blue here and there. It clearly was not blue before, but I added a little bit of teal highlights to it. I thought it was cool. I can't remember if I painted the wheels or if I found them on another car like that. I definitely added blue to the underside, so you would see blue when it sits there like that. Yeah, that's really cool. Next, we have a Corvette Grand Sport. I think this came out of a 2016 Graphics 5-pack. Looking at the, I did some research based on the model number and everything that I could find underneath. This would have been gray with blue Goodyear side panel logos all over it, and white rims and the same yellow underneath. I customized as much as I could have out of this. We got red all over, although this one I think took better. You don't see the streaks all along it. Looks like that is chipped there at some point. Unsurprising, I just keep them in a box. It's not like protected. This was just a fun little hobby that I was able to customize. The Nissan Skyline GTR R32 in parentheses. I don't know what that means. I know the Skyline was a really big hit with some of the older guys I worked with. They talked about it and I thought this was cool. Originally, this was out of a 2016 Nightburners 5-pack, but it was a cool looking car, so that's why I got it. Originally yellow with black graphics on the side and gray rims, so I stripped everything down. This was one I do remember, the metal body, dip it in the paint thinner, strip the whole thing down, and then it's essentially an unpainted, which they actually sell as a particular series. Hot Wheels will sell them. They're called Zamac or something like that. Anyway, I did that to it, and then I just added gray stripes, which I thought was really cool. I used some painter's tape in order to get nice clean lines across it. I remember this one more specifically because this is when the second half of this hobby was not only just something to do with my hands, to busy myself, to customize, kind of be creative in different ways, explore different color options and play around with things like that. But the second half of it was to do a little bit of product photography and take pictures of them. By 2018, when I was doing this, I had a camera. I was exploring going outside with camera, and this was something I could do inside with camera. I remember this more specifically because my website that I originally set up, this is probably as far back as I think the Weigh Machine website goes. There are pictures of the custom Hot Wheels that I did. And I remember showing that to one of my coworkers, and immediately it was all about money for that guy. So he was like, you could sell these. You should be selling these. Customize them, and people will buy that, and people will pay money. And it's like, I just do this for fun. This is just a fun hobby for me. I'm not trying to make money off it. Not everything needs to be a commerce exploration. A custom Datsun 240Z. This is pretty cool. Just the car itself is really cool. It was originally white on white rims, the white underneath, obviously, but then I touched up the green so that you could get some of that. I think I did paint the green on the rims here. That's why it's kind of splotchy and not ideal or great. The purple, I don't usually go for purple, but this really spoke to me. I think I got a metallic type of purple to put on there. It has a little bit of a shine to it, not too much, but this was just cool. Hot Wheels just calls this audacious. I don't know if it's actually modeled after a real hatchback or anything. I know that these are very popular for racing. Soup them up, put a big engine in it, something like that. Never really struck me. I don't super care for those type of, I like a more traditional, sports car kind of deal, but yes. This was cool. It originally was white. It came out of that same 2016 Nightburners 5-pack, apparently. It had lots of side panel graphics all over it, typical for racing cars. But the red trim underneath is original. I left that, and the rims are also original red rims. The windows were clear originally, so I blacked those out. I blacked out the whole car after I stripped the paint down, and then this was an attempt with splatter painting with some gold into it. I thought this came out really cool. I liked this a lot. And we got one more. And then we have the cream of the crop, a BMW M4. This thing is awesome. I really like BMW. I like the style of it. I like the way it looks. I like the fact that it's got a glass panel all the way over from front to back. It's not multiple sections. That looks really neat to me. It was not this color originally. This is the one that I did the most work on, the one that I'm the most proud of for sure. I think it came off of a 2017 card. I honestly don't know. I don't even know if I touched up the paint on the body itself, because the images I find online, it looks a lot darker blue and then there's a lighter blue. So maybe I didn't strip it down. Maybe I just added some on top to kind of change the blue. I feel like that's right, but I don't remember. This was years ago at this point. I definitely touched up the details. They're not perfect, but I added some headlight details. I put some gold on there. These are Real Rider tires that I took off of something. I'm not entirely sure what. I added a bit of detail. This definitely, I remember taking pictures of this being on the website. This was one of my favorites. Like I said, it's something I put the most time and effort into. I started with some of the other ones. I think this was the very last one I did before I wound up needing that hobby space for something else, taking everything off the table, getting more into the camera side of it, and going down the path that I'm on today. But this was a special. This one I really like the most, the BMW M4. Yeah, just looking over these again really takes me back. It was a fun time. Just sit there, quietly work with my hands, create something just for me. I wasn't trying to do it to impress, although I did wind up putting it on my website as a kind of bit of history, but it was a fun time. I really enjoyed doing this, working with the cars, and it gave me a new avenue to kind of go collect these Hot Wheels cars and look at them and go, ooh, well, you know, I really like the wheels off of this one or something, and maybe I want to do something with that, and what am I going to be able to do with this? And it was a different outlet, but it was a fun time for sure. You never know. Maybe I'll get an airbrush kit and some more paint and start taking apart Hot Wheels again and dedicate a little space to being able to work on that. I don't plan to anytime right now, but you never know what may happen in the future. This was a fun time, a good hobby to have. I really enjoyed the time that I spent into it, and for all those reasons, customizing Hot Wheels was something that I like.